right. And welcome everyone to Season 2, Episode 2 of Star Trek Valhalla, a Star Trek Adventures actual play run by myself and, well, two guest stars today, and three of my friends that are normally here. The other two friends that are normally here on Tuesdays, you will see on Sunday from Mell, as we are doing a crossover episode between Mell and Valhalla. But as is tradition at the beginning of all of our shows, all of our episodes, we're going to go around the table, have everyone introduce themselves, introduce who they're playing, and then we're going to dive into some actual play, which will be wonderful. So we're going to go Brian, Alex, C4A, Symbol, and Drubaka. Brian, take it away.
Hello, I am Brian. Mind over Brian on both Twitter, Twitch, and Steam. I am playing Captain Asbatreso, the Betazoid captain who has forsworn his telepathic gifts.
I am Alex. I am playing Commander Rin from the Mell game. Why I'm here, I have no idea.
I'm C4A, and I'm playing Commander Andromeda Mitchell. I am also from the Mell game. We're going to see how this goes.
You made choices to be here, Commander Mitchell. You made choices, all right? You may not have fully committed to those choices, but you made choices.
I was voluntold.
I am Symbol 24. I play Lieutenant Alden Paris, the science officer of the Ragnar.
And I'm Drubaka. I am playing Lieutenant Commander Krev. He is the chief engineer of the Ragnar.
And of course, I am Der Wolf, the Game Master, and as always, super excited to be here. To give everyone a quick recap of everything that happened last session, the away mission aboard the Ragnar with Lieutenant Paris, Ensign Zed, and I always forget the Vulcan's name. Velez, that's the one. Velez? Perfect. Velez had actually managed to escape the Ragnar. They got back to their shuttlecraft and made a hasty retreat, a hasty exit from the Ragnar back into the Shackleton Expanse. As they moved into the Shackleton Expanse, this strange sort of lightning storm sprung up, and bolts of this electricity or this lightning storm struck the ship, knocking all of its power out, wounding the already mostly injured Velez, as well as simultaneously causing Ensign Zed to vanish before your eyes. Absolutely vanish. So we leave Lieutenant Paris alone. Simultaneously, the Ragnar, which had been making its way back to the last known location of one Chronos station, started to pick up these strange readings of another ship. The ship's reading started to read as the USS Boudica. It seemed that it was fluctuating both in and out of time, in and out of space, and the captain came up, along with his bridge crew, an idea to try and knock them back into where they were supposed to be. Unfortunately, during that experiment, during that trial to dock them back into place, a strange kind of portal, shimmering portal opened up, and this beam of kind of white light struck the Ragnar, forcing everyone and causing everyone to fall unconscious. As the crew begins to regain consciousness, they notice a couple of strange things. The sensors are not reading anything near them. Nothing. The only thing they do pick up, very, very trace amounts of ambient radiation. The kind of radiation you might expect to find in the void of space, that void between galaxies. On the view screen, from the bridge of the Ragnar, we see a very, very distant, it looks to be millions, if not billions of light years away, a very distant little kind of shining dot that looks just like the Milky-Way Galaxy. But we're not going to start there. We're actually going to start back on the runabout with Lieutenant Paris. Ensign Zed is gone. Lieutenant Paris starting to struggle for air, starting to struggle to find his breath as the runabout is beginning to lose what little oxygen it had. And he's starting to, well, tell me, Lieutenant Paris, what's going through your mind right now? Maybe you're recording something in this moment. Fill me
Lieutenant Paris is indeed recording a little final log.
Okay.
So, final log entry. USS Crockett. I don't know what start date. Oh, it's getting hard to breathe. Less than an hour of breathable air. I left all the information we have from the mission on this data chip. I also left the calculations for how to break the what was it again? White hole. How to make a white hole. Yeah. Create a warp bubble outside the ship. Compress dark matter until it forms a white hole, and then use dilithium to pierce it. It will create a black hole. And then
There is in the middle of this recording, there is this noise that you hear. It sounds kind of like sort of like someone running their fingers across a harp, but missing every other string. It's sort of this discordant kind of sound, like a dong, 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 dong kind of noise. And you see that this darkened bridge of the Crockett is illuminated for just a moment. From behind you, you hear a voice. Well, isn't this quite interesting? Someone stuck on a ship, mortal, dare I say, a mortal, stuck on a ship by themselves in the vastness of space. Quite a dire situation. Quite a dire situation. I wonder what my father would do in this situation. I think my father, at one time or another, actually ran into a situation similar to this with one Captain Picard. Yes, that's the one. Captain Picard. It was indeed a Captain Picard. Ooh, perhaps this is my Captain Picard. Excuse me, young man, what is your title?
Lieutenant Alden Paris.
As you turn, perhaps, do you turn? I ask.
Oh,
Lieutenant
yeah.
Paris. As you turn, perhaps, very weak, struggling really to keep up. The asphyxiation, the lack of oxygen. What's the term for lack of oxygen? I'm having a moment
Asphyxiation.
here. Asphyxiation is correct. This asphyxiation is starting to kick in as you're struggling to breathe. You're just starting to breathe mostly carbon dioxide rather than, nice good O2, as it were. But as you turn back, you see she looks to be either Vulcan or Romulan. She is wearing a leather jacket, and around her neck, she has a necklace with a symbol that looks like a kind of brightly colored starburst, a sunburst of some kind. It takes you a moment because your brain isn't quite working right, but it takes you a moment, but you recognize this symbol on her talisman. It's a symbol that you saw when you were aboard Kronos Station. She leans down closer to you. Did you say Lieutenant? Her voice sounding incredibly disappointed.
Yes.
Damn it! I was hoping for a captain. A lieutenant? What rank is that? Is that like 4, 5, 6, 7 ranks below captain? Ugh!
Why do I have to get the weird ones? I love you, but why do I have to get the weird ones? Who are you?
Who am I? Well, I'm Q. That is to say, the daughter of Q. Or maybe the daughters of Q? We're not really good on the whole familial thing. He created me, and I am of him, but also he is of me. I mean, we are the Q. The Q is the Q. I am simply a version of the Q that has chosen you. Disappointed in that choice, but choices have been made. Do you wish not to die?
That would be a thing, yes.
Such a strange sensation, wanting not to die. What is death like? What does it feel like in this very moment right now? Is it painful to feel what you're feeling? Are you dying? I'm not exactly sure how this works.
I am very much dying.
You're very much dying. It seems you are struggling for air. Perhaps there's something I could do to help. Do you have a ship? A ship perhaps with a captain aboard it that I might discuss? Not to say that I won't choose you, it's just I was hoping for a captain rather than a lieutenant. Isn't there a couple of different I think there's a lieutenant, and then a first lieutenant, second lieutenant, ensign. Is ensign below or above captain? Needless to say,
Below.
what is the name of your ship?
The Ragnar.
Ragnar. Brilliant. And do you know where it is? Never mind. I'll find it. And as she snaps her fingers, we cut to the back of the Crockett, near to where Velez is, and we watch as Velez just sits there, just in his bed, starts to open his eyes, and a second later, he disappears in a beam of light, in a flash of light as well. But we cut now over to the bridge of the Ragnar. And aboard the bridge of the Ragnar, we see the captain, we see a number of other officers aboard the ship, and everyone save the captain is laying face down or on their backs. They all appear to be unconscious. Captain, you are the first to come to. You are the first to start to awaken, start to regain your senses. And the first thing you would notice is that the lights are very dim. It appears you are running on just emergency power or backup power, the batteries of the Ragnar. But as you look around the room, you see all of your bridge crew unconscious on the ground. You see a couple of wires hanging down. It looks like the ship took some damage, but not enough to, rip it apart or destroy it. Things that a little bit of elbow grease could repair. But what you notice that is perhaps out of place is a red-headed woman. She is wearing what looks to be a Federation uniform. However, she is very wet. And when I say wet, it means it looks like she literally fell into water. And you notice that around her, there is a bunch of snow, as though she, fell into a snowdrift, and then it started to melt. And she's just lying there on her back. Commander Mitchell, your eyes start to open, and the description that I gave to you, it's so jarring, because you can think and remember every single moment of your life up to this point. And when I say every moment, I mean from the moment you were born to the moment you stepped over that ledge into the white hole at the base of Kronos Station, the central column, that central chamber. You remember everything. It's fleeting. It's starting to fade away slightly. It's starting to kind of become more blurry. It's starting to feel more like a normal memory. But in this moment, as your eyes open and they adjust to this kind of dimly lit bridge, you recognize it as a bridge. You remember everything. But Captain Treso and Commander Mitchell, you both notice each other noticing that you're in a room together. And I leave the scene for a moment to you.
Treso will immediately, or very slowly though, without making any sudden movements, pull the hand phaser, little tiny one, the Type 1, and point it and be like, we've not classically had a lot of luck with redheads, so I'm going to need you to identify yourself.
And Mitchell will start to reach for her phaser, but remembered that she had dropped it off at the Kronos station.
Yeah, I'm going to need you to keep those hands where I can see them too, please.
I'm Commander Andromeda Mitchell of the USS Boudica, and then she rattles off her Starfleet, her number.
Designation.
The Boudica, do you know what happened to your ship? We were trying to knock you out of a white hole time phenomena last I remember, before my entire ship got blown to, well, wherever we are now.
Before I answer that question, Captain, I'd like to have your name and identification.
Captain Asma Treso of the USS Ragnar. Serial number A24 Omega G9.
As far as I know, my ship is right where I left it, docked at the Kronos station.
What was the year when you left?
Great
GM, what
question.
was the-
It was 1 year to the day after the Ragnar disappeared. So Captain Treso, as she tells you what the star date was, you would very quickly be able to correlate that with exactly to the day, maybe even to the hour, that your ship disappeared, roughly, not roughly, but exactly a year in the future.
That puts you about a year further down the timeline than us. Which means, Commander, I'm ordering you to keep as much of the information that you have of that intervening year to yourself as possible.
Understood, Captain. And she'll stand and keeping her eyes on like the phaser. It's just like,
Go.
it's, you know,
Trace will put it down.
and
Grab a seat. You don't look like you're that steady on your feet.
thank you, Captain.
How did you get here?
And here she'll kind of falter as all entire life is
Rush
like,
of emotions. What I'm going to have you
ain't
do
that
is
a
we're
great
actually going to
question?
make the first roll of this game. And because you're guest stars, guests get to go first. They get to, go to the little snack bar first. It's only polite. It's only tradition. So we're going to see if we can get the team here a little bit of momentum. So it'll be a difficulty 1. This is going to be a presence and medicine. Presence, medicine. Difficulty of 1. And if you have anything like composure,
I do.
badassery, not going crazy as a focus, whatever you got, feel free to
Yep,
use that.
composure,
Beautiful.
absolutely.
I like that. It's beautiful. Oh, welcome guest stars. Let's go. That is 3 momentum back
I'll
to the
take
crew here
that.
today. That is spicy. I love it. That is beautiful. This is why we invited C4A. Take all the bad things I said about you back. Take all of them back. All the mean things I said before we started. There it is.
Okay.
So, Commander Mitchell, to describe what you're feeling, again, there is this rush of emotion. It is, again, seeing every second of every day of your life up until this point play out is a jarring and unsettling experience. But a little bit of that mental training you've done for yourself, a little bit of the conditioning that you've undergone to become the sort of stoic, serious person that you are and achieve the greatness that you have being a commander of such a young age, it starts to kick in. That kind of madness that you feel in the back of your mind is still there, but you are suppressing it.
I believe I fulfilled some sort of ceremonial ritual on the Chronos station.
Been there.
Who hasn't?
That sounds very similar to what happened just before I detonated our primary warp core. Well, grab a seat, Commander. Compose your thoughts. I'm going to check on the rest of the bridge crew.
And as Commander Mitchell, Captain Treso begin to, well, she collects her thoughts. Captain Treso, you start to go around, check the bridge crew. The rest of the crew on the bridge is starting to regain consciousness, other than a couple of maybe bumped elbows, maybe a light concussion. Everyone seems relatively unharmed. But again, the ship, where it sits in this void of space, the only thing you can see is, again, the very distant. Think of it like it looks like maybe a $50 on the view screen. Just very tiny, distant Milky-Way Galaxy. But we're now actually going to cut over to... We're going to cut over to the engineering. We're going to cut over to engineering, where, stepping out of a kind of... It looks to be a perfect doorway. Narrower on top, tall. The doorway itself is about 9 feet tall. The width of the door about 6 feet wide. And stepping through that doorway, we see a Commander Rin step through. Commander Rin, as you step through this doorway, you had previously found yourself in this room of white light, perfect white light, so perfect that it was hard to tell where it ended, where it started. It was almost a little, as I've said before, a little jarring. It was hard to tell, what was up, what was down, but you got this feeling, this drive to pull yourself towards a doorway. And as you step through the doorway, you find yourself in an engineering room. Now you've worked at shipyards before, and I'm not even going to make you roll. You would recognize this. Commander Rin, as a Intrepid class engineering room. Now what's strange is that the warp core, rather than that typical kind of blue swirling with the white, you can see the matter-antimatter reaction going off. You hear that boom, 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 boom kind of noise. The warp core is instead this kind of purple and white, and it still swirls like a matter-antimatter reaction, but instead of this boom, boom, boom kind of noise, you hear, it almost sounds like a snoring noise. And the glass of the warp core kind of shakes a little bit and rattles. Not so much to where you'd be concerned of it cracking or breaching, but it's kind of just this rattling noise. Like if you're in a building and a semi goes by, you could hear the windows just kind of rattle a little bit. That's what it sounds like. Just around the side, you see a number of engineering crew. Most of them lying unconscious, save for and Lieutenant Commander Krev, how would you look just waking up after being knocked unconscious? You're standing up right at the console where we see you on the screen. How would you look in this moment?
He would be just kind of groggily getting up, shaking his head, not like it doesn't look like back and forth like a person. It's more of kind of like that animal, kind of shake. The Tellarite head doesn't move quite the same way.
Mm-hmm.
And then he rubs his eyes, looks at the panel, and then kind of looks up at the engine core and sees the intruder. Someone he doesn't recognize in his engine room.
Hmm?
And he slowly reaches under the panel and pulls a phaser. What are you doing in my engines, boy?
I think before this actually happens, as Rin steps out, I think with what you told me earlier, he's a bit disoriented, a bit dazed. He kind of stumbles forward and braces himself against the rail around the warp core.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd say he doesn't hear Karev when he's first.
If I may, to describe what you're feeling so that everyone at home knows, Commander Rin has obviously joined Trill. As he steps through that white portal, he no longer feels the presence of the Trill with him, his conjoined Trill. Instead, it has been replaced with a different entity. One that does not feel like it has, malicious intent. It feels helpful, but his Trill appears or feels to be gone. Now, in this moment, you'd think he'd be dead, but obviously he's not. And so this is a very jarring situation. And thank you for letting me jump in, Rin. Please continue.
That's what Rin just doesn't hear Krev. He's completely in his own mind at the moment.
Krev kind of holds the phaser up, looks over at Bronson, checks to make sure if she's okay.
She's got what looks to be perhaps a dislocated elbow, But other than that, she seems fine.
Okay. Krev is going to keep the phaser trained, make sure she's okay. Just kind of talk to her a little bit, like, you'll be fine, you'll be fine.
Lieutenant Commander, what happened? Are we dead? What?
No, we're still alive, and there's
bright white light,
and now we have an intruder in the engine bay.
An intruder, and she goes to go for a phaser, and as she moves her left arm, she winces in pain, lets out a quiet but audible kind of noise, cringes a little bit.
No, you'll be all right. You check the systems, watch your arm. I'll be right back.
We gotta defend the systems. Right, and she slowly gets to her feet and starts running some basic diagnostics at the console she's at.
He checks, just kind of waits there for a second, makes sure she's kind of getting into her groove, and then he heads up towards the intruder.
Commander Rin, you've had a couple of moments. The unsettling nature of no longer feeling those multitude of lives, those multitude of existences that you feel just one entity with you. It starts to settle, and you hear fast approaching heavy footfalls. Karev does nothing half-assedly. Heavy footfalls towards you from your left-hand side. You look to your left, and you would see Lieutenant Commander Krev with a phaser drawn, approaching you. What do you do?
I think.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Rin, coming out of it, hearing the heavy footfalls coming towards him, is gonna turn towards it. See Karev, see the phaser trained on him. He's gonna back away from the warp core, hands up. I'm not here to do anything. I'm not sure how I'm here.
What's your name, Commander? And what are you doing in my engine bay?
I'm Commander Vidar Rin, Chief Engineer of the USS Boudica. It gives off his identification numbers.
Have I heard of the Boudica?
Yes, you would have heard of the Boudica. It was the ship that the captain was attempting with the Ragnar to, and I don't want to describe this incorrectly, but to kind of bump back into their correct time. Is that an accurate statement, Captain, to say bump? He's trying to use the deflector array to bump the Boudica back to where they're supposed to be, and actually try to really bump the entire station into a kind of stable temporal situation.
Oh, the Boudica. The steam runner, right? Great ships. Interesting warp geometry. He looks down at the phaser, kind of huffs at it, holsters it. Well, you said you're the chief engineer?
Yes, that's right.
Well, good. There's work to do. Come on, Commander.
It's not even going to question it, really.
I love this. Commander Rin, as Lieutenant Commander, says there's work to do. That entity that has replaced the multitude of lifetimes that you experience with the joint Trill. An entity, it feels drawn ever so slightly towards that purple, blue, and white swirling warp core. Feels drawn to it. Almost like, to describe it to you, it is like you think back to your childhood. You think back to the childhood you've experienced with each and every one of those lifetimes. And it feels like the desire and the pull that an infant might have towards a parent. It falters for a moment, and you kind of regain control of yourself. And we're going to leave that there for now. I just want you to think about that. Think about what that is. our next scene that we're going to pivot over to, we go to Astrometrics, which is currently unpowered. The large screen that shows vast swaths of space and anomalies. It's just literally what's Astrometrics? A giant sensor array, as it were. It's all dimly lit. We watch as one panel comes up, another panel comes up, another and another and another, and then the entire Astrometrics seems to be powered up and fully illuminated and fully functioning. And we watch as Lieutenant Paris, appearing in a beam of white light, kind of like a kind of that sound. And then next to him, we hear once again that discordant kind of fingernails across a harp, missing every other string. We watch as the Romulan-looking Q, wearing her leather jacket with her necklace, the little symbol on it, here's next to him. She leans forward, kind of. This is going to sound like a strange question, Lieutenant Paris, and I realize you're simply just a lieutenant, not a captain, so this may be beyond your capabilities, but again, we work with what we have. What would you do if you had lost something very important and you needed to find it? Where would you start looking?
The last place I put it?
I've tried that. It's not there. The problem with this thing is that it exists everywhere, but also nowhere. And the problem is that it currently exists everywhere that it's not supposed to, and not where it's not supposed to. Does that make sense?
Unfortunately, yes.
Brilliant. So you can help then. Not as inept as I thought you might be. All right, so how does this all work?
Just a second. He stumbles over to a replicator, punches a few buttons. A hypo spray appears. Oh, good old tracks.
Drug use. Interesting.
That's not right. Okay.
She started pushing buttons just randomly. Boop, boop, boop.
Q?
Yes.
I can call you Q. Yeah, don't push random buttons. What is it exactly we're looking for?
A station. Well, station of sorts.
Not Chrono Station.
That's the one. How did you know? Have you been there? Oh, this is going to be much easier than I thought it would be. How delightful. See, I was trying to do a thing with some peoples, and I may have not done the thing that I'd intended to do. And again, Chrono Station is not supposed to be where it is. It is supposed to be everywhere, but not the everywhere that it currently finds itself. It's supposed to be in a different everywhere. And I seem to have misplaced it. And she actually starts to, like, sniff the air around you. I thought I had smelled Chrono Station on you. Maybe that's what drew me to you. Interesting. Very, very, very interesting. So, where is it?
Well, the last time we saw it, we'll bring up the coordinates on the screen. Spatial grid there and timeline there. Wait, what's that? There's more data. Hold on, sorry. It's just button through what the sensors picked up and okay. So it reappeared and then Captain tried to, I don't know, there's another ship, the Boudica, okay. And then he tried to, no, that wouldn't work. Krev should have told him that wouldn't work. But then if he did that, that means punch a bunch of buttons. While he's doing that, he's also like sending a comm directly to the captain.
Captain, you get a comm. Your badge chirps.
And it's an open comm, it's not a call.
You hear.
So if the captain did that, that means he sent it, and that means there was probably feedback. Did you, Q? Did you do anything to the ship before?
I'm sorry. Were you still talking? Did you say something about where Chrono Station was?
Well, I'm just trying to ascertain what happened so we can try and find it. So when. I'm sorry. I'm slow. I'm sorry. Very, very linear. I know. I understand. Very linear. But did you do anything to this ship before you came to me and found me?
No.
Okay. Then okay.
The thing with Chronos Station is that
Okay.
when it doesn't want to be found, it kind of has a, that is to say, personality of its own. So the thing is, you have to look for it, at least this is what my father told me, you have to look for it where you think it's not going to be, because where it's not going to be is where it's going to be. I'm not making any sense, am I?
Actually, you kind of are. You're trying to locate something without locating it.
Yes. You know, for a
So-
lieutenant, you're actually very smart. I will speak to your captain and make sure you do get a promotion.
Thank you. As he looks around, realizing again where he is, like, okay, my friend on the the ship, is he here or did you leave him over there?
Which one? There's
The
only
one that
one.
was in
The
bed.
Vulcan? Yes, he's
Yes.
fine. I sent him to
Okay.
medical.
Oh, very gracious of you. Thank you very much. All right. So if we coordinate this and this and this, there's math appears on the screen. Just
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
temporal math. Okay.
Hmm.
So if it's here now, that means it's not there.
Mm-hmm.
Where is it not now? And then he's just like mumbling to himself.
And you start to
like,
mumble. And I think that's actually a great moment to pivot. I'd like to pivot away from the ramblings of Lieutenant Paris, which are smart and intelligent, but way beyond even Q. But we're actually going to pivot back to the bridge. And Captain, you've managed to get all of the bridge crew back up and running. Again, a couple of bumps, couple of scrapes. No one was injured enough to really had to leave their posts. But I'd like to actually start this next scene with Commander Mitchell. Commander Mitchell, you've had about 30 minutes or so to collect yourself, to think about the events of what transpired, to think about what's led you here. And I'd like you to make a quick check. And I see you, Symbol. I see you, Symbol. What were you going to say?
I was just going to mention, don't forget that the whole bridge is probably hearing me ramble and talk
Oh,
about
absolutely.
Q.
You're all still hearing this. That's brilliant. You're still hearing this. But Commander Mitchell, as you are sitting in this chair, you think back again that those memories of your past are starting to kind of, coalesce into regular memories, the things you might remember of childhood, important events, significant moments, things like that. You're starting to kind of forget things. But what you remember is this ceremony that you watched. The ceremony that you watched aboard Chronos Station, each of the Numfel holding this crystal in their hands with that little symbol, a little icon, as it were, in the star, in the center, raising it up and then watching as that white hole sunk down and then created this kind of portal at the base. You remember this all very vividly, and I don't want to give anything away, but that seems like it might be significant. There's something about what they did that maybe is important to what's happening now, but I'm going to leave that with you. And let you figure out what to do from there.
At the beginning, you said you were going to give me a check. Was there something you needed me to roll?
Yeah. I'm going to have you roll an insight.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm going to have you roll. I just wanted to give you a moment to think about it. So I'm going to have you roll an insight and science. Difficulty of 2.
Could I utilize investigative techniques?
You know
or
what? Yes,
behavioral analysis?
absolutely. That's fantastic. That's absolutely fantastic. I love that. I absolutely love that. You're not putting 2 and 2 together. You're not sure what it all means. In fact, those memories, that kind of jarring experience you had where you remembered all of your existence up until that point, that wall of training that you've spent many years mastering, you feel like start to crumble a little bit. And that kind of, that feeling of like, I gotta get to it, maybe those giggles, you're starting to feel a little silly again. You're starting to feel like maybe you're starting to regress a little bit back into that almost childlike wonderment in this moment.
Tactical engineering status reports.
Captain, ship's weapons are down. Engines are currently down. It looks like Lieutenant Commander Krev is currently working on restoring main power. Don't have an ETA on when everything would be back up, but we have life support. Sir, where the hell are we? From over at the science station, Minnie speaks up. Sir, oh gods, this can't be right. We're literally millions of light years away from home. Sir, there's nothing around us. We can't make it home from here. There's oh gods.
Ensign Crusher, where we are is not as important as who we are. Hold that thought. We'll figure this out. We got here. There must be a way back. Can anybody get me a line on where Paris is transmitting from?
One moment, sir. He is in astrometrics, and he doesn't appear to be alone. It looks like there's a Romulan with him?
Oh, great. Are turbo lifts up?
Yes, sir.
Well then. Commander, would you like to accompany me on an investigatory journey to astrometrics?
Sounds swell. Yes, Captain.
Ensign Crusher, leave the bridge. Try to keep my ship in one piece till I come back.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Yes, sir. Of course. Yeah, keep the ship in one piece, right? Yep, gotta keep everything in one piece. It's all gonna be fine. And as Captain Traso and Commander Mitchell start down the turbo lift, I'd like to give you two a moment, maybe to interact. Maybe you just ride the turbo lift in silence. But I'd like to give the two of you a quick moment together. Maybe just to talk or to share stories or just be there awkwardly. You tell me.
So, Commander?
Captain?
I don't know anything about the Boudica. What type of ship is she? Well, that's not true. I do know that she's a steam runner. But, like, what kind of ship is she? Like, is this a pleasant posting, or are we talking like, did you piss somebody off?
My presence was requested on board the Boudica.
Oh, you didn't apply for the posting. That's interesting. Who requested your... You know what? It's probably too much information. What's the Boudica's mission in the Shackleton?
D4A doesn't know, DM.
So, no, that's fine. Commander Mitchell, your mission was actually originally, if you go back to episode 1, was to head to the Klingon Federation border to help prevent what was believed to be an incoming Klingon Federation war, as it were. You never actually went to the Shackleton. So
right.
You found the Chronos Station near to the Klingon Federation border on the other side of the Klingon Empire. So the Shackleton's on, like, so if it's like the Galactic East, you're on the Galactic West side of the Klingon Empire. So a completely different spot, light years away. So that's a weird question for the captain to ask. You know what's kind of funny, too? Silly captain.
She will skim over the details because she's not completely sure she should divulge more information. Just giving him
Oh,
the
so you're
bare-
not in the Shackleton. Where did you find Chronos Station then? What system? Don't tell me what you're doing there. Just tell me what system.
You remember C4 it was near Starbase 24.
Brian, you're asking so much of me. I don't know.
That's
It's
fine.
okay.
You could have just been like, I tell you the thing. I've been
Totally
watching
fine.
your show.
Yeah.
Starbase 24, that's the other side of the... And you said you're from a year later.
Mm.
All right, this may be too far, and let me know if this is if this borders on information I shouldn't have. But does the Federation know that the Ragnar has gone missing in the Shackleton Expanse?
Yes.
Okay. And I assume none of our logs made it out?
Unfortunately not.
Which means we can't return until a year after our departure. Otherwise, we'll change your timeline. Interesting. What cause did you have to enter to? I mean, if you're near Starbase 24, the Chrono Station should have been well within explored space. What explanation did they offer for their presence? Presuming that Chrono Station was uncharted at that point.
Just 3 for 3 now. Just whatever relevant information you need to have.
No, you're good. You're good, Commander Mitchell. So you would know that the Numfell from our last episode didn't offer any explanation. They simply said, hey, you're the prophet we've been waiting for. Come to the central chamber.
She's not going to tell him that.
Okay.
Just like, oh,
Reasonable.
please. I mean, I wanted to talk about like all of the thousands of other little tiny attacking ships, but I don't know if that's something that
Bring it
should
up.
be.
Absolutely, bring it up.
Okay, well, we were going to be destroyed. However, we were offered sanctuary at the Chrono Station. Whether it is actually true sanctuary or not, that is to be determined, Captain.
Destroyed by what?
Thousands of small ships.
We ran into something similar, although I think they winked out of existence before they actually threatened the structural integrity of the ship.
We had that same experience. They were using some type of portal technology.
Captain Treso, I would like you to roll an insight command. Reason command, actually. No, insight command. Insight command. Insight command. Difficulty of 2. You do have 3 momentum.
Oh, I shall spend at least one of those. I don't think any of my focuses apply.
Beautiful. That is a success. Captain Treso, as Commander Mitchell describes to you the experiences of the Boudica, her crew, everything, it seems like they are mirroring or following in some ways the exact same experiences from the moment that the Numfell attack ships, the Numfell Legion ships, start to attack them. Everything else seems to play out in the exact same way that it did for the Ragnar. It is almost as if they're playing out a, like they're running the same dialogue. Now, Commander Mitchell, you've been very specific, if I'm correct, in not describing the fact that they seemed to choose you. I'm assuming you're leaving that out of the descriptions. So, Captain, everything she's telling you, it is like a mirror. It's like you're watching a recording of what happened to the Ragnar.
Of the reports. Well, I wasn't on the station though, so yeah. Even if she told me, I'd be like, oh, that might have been something that happened to everybody else.
Yeah.
Were there any other ships located nearby? We also found it.
Yes, there were readings of a Prometheus vessel that showed up right before myself and my landing party went into the station.
Full holographic crew, crewed by a single woman.
And many of her multiples.
I initially assumed they were photonic, but I'm beginning to suspect that maybe she's recruited herself across multiple timelines. Which, I mean, the physics of that demands some explanation. But if they were all wearing some sort of protective gear, maybe a personal shield generator of some type. Sorry, I'm an engineer at heart.
Was there an Andorian with her as well when you encountered her?
Fuck that guy.
Blue, darker than most Bolian, darker than a Bolian. Sort of a bad attitude.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, we actually rescued him from a shuttle, much to my regret at this point. In fact, Tracer to sickbay.
Nurse Nas answers.
Nurse, status on our shielded stasis passenger?
He's still there.
And the stasis field is holding?
Yep.
Yeah.
Sir, I got a lot of injured folks down here. Also, Ensign Velez showed up randomly in a beam of light. Not exactly sure what that's about. He sustained a number of injuries. Looks like maybe got electrocuted.
We suspect there's a queue on board. Cancel that stasis field for me, please, nurse. And let me know how that
I
goes.
just want to be clear that you just gave the order to cancel that stasis field. Is that correct?
For sure. Yep.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. That's wonderful. Love where your mind's at. All right, perfect. All right, cool.
Sorry about that, Commander.
Who's in your sick bay, Captain?
Well, see, we rescued 2 people from the shuttle. A certain Andorian engineer and a young chief petty officer. So I'm thinking maybe we fight fire with fire. But first, it sounds like we've got a queue. So
And
I hope you have some experience dealing with multidimensional beings.
And she's just gonna like.
I love it.
Lead the way, Captain.
And we're going to cut back over to engineering, where the 2 engineers have started to repair or at least work on the ship. So I'd like the two of you to make a control engineering, actually insight engineering, difficulty of 3. Whoever wants to make the primary check, you're welcome to do so. Whoever wants to assist, you're also welcome to do so. Actually, you know what would be more interesting? You're both going to make your own checks, and we'll take the better of the 2. There it is. Difficulty would have been a 3, but this time it's just going to be a 2, and we're going to see who makes the better check. Why don't you each take a momentum for free?
And what's the check? What's the check for?
Control engineering. It's to figure out what the hell's going on with the ship and how to get full power back and running.
All right, I'm going to use my talent of I know my ship and my damage control focus. And you said insight.
Insight engineering.
Not command. Why do you think it's command? I hit insight.
Don't have a talent that would go for this one. But power generation systems?
Absolutely, Commander Rin. Absolutely.
Hey, Drew, insight and commander, the 2 different.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, cool.
I know. It did a thing.
Dang, Commander Rin! Oh my god!
Oh my god!
That is so beautiful. I love that so much. They literally got the exact same check, exact same rolls. That is so cool. I love this. I love this so much. So simultaneously, you're both at the 2 consoles, and I'd like to imagine that there are these control consoles at the opposite sides. So one end, port and starboard of the engineering room, and you're both typing away, and at the exact same time, you both come to the same conclusion. The warp core, and this is the way that this is the only way you can describe it. The warp core is hungry.
The readings on this make it look like the warp core wants more matter and antimatter running through it.
Yeah. It hasn't been hungry before. And Krev kind of looks down at his console, then looks up at the engine. And he's like, Are you hungry, boy?
The engine, that rattling sound that I mentioned before, like glass shaking as a large semi-truck goes by a building, that rumbling noise, it rumbles. But because you both rolled, and by the way, you're captain of momentum right now, because you both succeeded and got 2 extra momentum, so you're up to 6 right now, because that's freaking amazing. You both rolled the exact same roll.
Yeah,
that's
so awesome.
I love it. So the two of you. So hunger can be different. Hunger can be, I'm hungry for food. I'm hungry for love. Maybe hunger can sometimes be mistaken for a desire or a draw. Hunger can sometimes be mistaken for loneliness. And as you both start to look at these readings, it's less that the warp core needs food or more antimatter. It's as though the warp core is, well, it's sad. Like it's longing for something. And again, you are engineers at heart. The two of you look at these readings and it's like, it needs more matter. And then as you ask this question, Lieutenant Commander Krev, and that was a beautiful question to ask, the warp core rattles and the readings start to change. And it seems less like it's hungry and more like it's missing something. Like it's missing a part of itself. That feeling, Commander Rin, that longing like a child for a parent starts to grow stronger.
So Krev kind of, as the realization that it's lonely kind of comes over him, he gets this kind of uncharacteristically tender look on his face, and he's like, "You're not hungry. You're lonely? Do you need a friend? Or is it something else?"
I swear to God, if you put a space dragon in my spare warp core.
What are you talking about?
The warp core, it's alive. It's a space dragon. I named him Jorgenmunder.
Your warp core is alive.
Yeah, there was
ignoring the moral and ethical quandaries of that.
well, it chose to be part of the ship. I didn't just say like, "You're my slave." Like, we're friends, right? And he looks over at the warp core.
It
like,
rumbles, right? But like positively.
I think at the same moment, Rin kind of turns to look at it as well. I have lived tens of lives. I've transported to another ship, yeah, that's whatever. But this?
Yeah, things get weird over here sometimes.
Yeah, things get weird on the Boudica. We have an entire cube of our ship just missing.
You do.
Yeah. Do you have a sometimes sentient black body box that lives inside your ship that's ostensibly a cloaking device? We got one of those.
I think Rin just kind of goes completely blank for a moment, looking directly at Grev.
Yeah, we have a lot of sentient systems. It's really weird.
How many black boxes do you have?
Just the one.
We have two.
Wait, what? What are yours do?
Well, one kind of possessed one of our other commanders. There were a couple that were pretty much micro black holes that were trying to ingest the ship. And there's one left that's a energy amplification device of some sort. I haven't been able to fully figure it out.
Huh. Man, isn't it great to be in Starfleet?
I've had 4 lives in Starfleet. It's always something different.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like 30 years in. It's great. Never a dull moment. And he goes back to like checking the systems, just kind of thoughtfully, he's trying to think, and he's doing work to work his way through the thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
What could it be missing?
I think as Krev's doing this, Rin is standing there at his console, just kind of staring at the warp core.
Mhm.
He's kind of thinking. He has that pull, kind of starts sliding around the side of the console, stepping towards the warp core,
Mhm.
but then stops. I need to go to medical. I want to check something.
Krev, kind of half-heartedly, you know your way around an Intrepid?
I've helped refit 3 of them.
Cool. See you when you get back.
Hey, Commander
And-
Rin.
Yep.
So, you know what's interesting? You
No,
actually
but you're gonna
worked.
tell me.
You actually worked on the Ragnar, only for a couple of weeks. It was near the end of its construction, and the mention of the black box, it doesn't ring a bell. He said something about a black box. He said something about a cloaking device. You remember being aboard the Ragnar, kind of maybe doing like a final inspection? That doesn't sound right. It didn't have a cloaking device. That's weird. So use that information as you see fit.
I think I'm just gonna hold on to that for the moment.
Beautiful. And as you depart and head off towards the medical bay, we're actually going to head on back over to Astrometrics, where Lieutenant Paris, you just finished a dissertation on the complexities of temporal anomalies and how to triangulate both time and space, the location of an object that doesn't wish to be found. It's a whole thing. You know, in fact, this might be your, I don't know, your magnum opus, as it were. You're actually impressed with yourself. But as the two of you are sitting there, and the Q, this Romulan Q, looks completely bored out of her mind, eyes glazed over. She is just staring at you, like, just dead expression on her face, just blinking every 5 seconds. Just blink, blink. Like, you've literally bored her into a coma. All right. The doors of Astrometrics slide open, and joining you in the Astrometrics bay is one Commander Mitchell and Captain Treso.
As the doors are opening and I'm still rambling, I stop. I go, Q, one question.
What? Yes?
How much energy or how much power would it take for someone to steal the station from you?
And she suddenly looks less bored in this moment. She suddenly seems like she's had a eureka moment. Oh, that son of a bitch! That smoky son of a bitch! That smoky, lightning-wielding son of a bitch! And then the captain and C4A, Commander Mitchell, enter into the Astrometrics. You hear this Romulan Q say that smoky, lightning-wielding son of a bitch.
Turning back to the console.
Well,
starting beeping. Oh,
It sounds like we
Captain.
have a enemy in common.
Commander. Look at the captain like, what's going on?
You're familiar with this smoky creature, Captain?
Yeah, perhaps you haven't seen it, but the Andorian tends to appear and disappear in a black, smoky thing.
It's like Paris is very much like, hold on. Takes out a tricorder, starts scanning the commander to see if you have the same quantum signature as we do.
He does.
That won't be necessary, Mr. Paris. She's from the Boudica.
Okay.
A year out of
Temporarily
date.
removed.
She's a year out of date. But
Temporarily
she is
removed from us, but same universe.
right.
Okay. Sorry. I just had to be sure. Not for the thing you think, but anyways,
You're doing your job.
yes, thank you, Commander. But I think I know how she did it, Captain. I think she's either completely mad or she's the most brilliant person I've ever encountered.
I'm gonna need some context, Mr. Paris.
Captain Redhead, Captain Mini, Captain Gold. Wow, brain work. Too many calculations. The only way I can think of how much power she can get to be able to summon the entity for whatever his name is again is to get herself
Bob.
From every timeline. That is the only way she can do it.
So we're talking the one type phenomena.
That is
Early
the only
20th
way
century.
Q can lose her station.
Q waves at the captain. Are you a
Captain
captain?
Treso, Q, Captain Treso.
This is the captain of this ship?
Yes.
Ooh, I've always wanted a captain. He gets all excited.
And I
Oh, my
understand
brain hurts.
we may have a mutual enemy. I propose we work together.
Does this mean? And she gets close, and she kind of like pushes Lieutenant Paris out of the way, like he's old news, like he's like, you know, last week's leftovers, just like shoves him out of the way, gets
Out of
really
my way, nerd.
close, right up next to. She gets really close, right up next to the captain, right, just like butts up right next to him. So close, like that uncomfortable closeness, like someone who doesn't understand personal boundaries gets up close, and she goes, "Oh wow, you're not quite as old as my father's captain was, but ooh, I like this one. Ooh, he has a beard too. Is that normal? Is that standard for captains? The other one was bald. You have lots of hair, although it's very gray. How old are you? It doesn't matter. You're a captain. Ooh, I found a captain. This is going to be wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Yes, we should definitely work together." And then as she says this, she snaps her fingers, and the leather jacket disappears, and she is now wearing a red uniform with Captain Pips on it and a Starfleet comm badge. And she says, "All right, Captain, what's next?"
Well, you may have noticed that the Ragnar is not in the Milky Way Galaxy, and we have 2 reports of Chronos Station in the Milky Way. So I thought perhaps you could exercise the very little bit of your Q energy and perhaps return us to the galaxy so we can help you track down this station you were looking for.
She grits her teeth, bites her lower lip. Would that I could. Would that I could. Would that I would, but I could that I can't, but I don't exactly know.
Speak plainly.
I don't know where we are.
She can't. I'm sorry, Commander. She
Not
really
sure where
can't.
we are. I don't know exactly where we are and when we are. That's part of the problem of using, and she starts to kind of slur her words a little bit and seem almost a little drunk. And she kind of wavers, and then she looks back to Lieutenant Paris and she goes, "All right. That one deserves a promotion. A little captain." And she goes to boop your nose. Boop.
Well, it seems you're not going to be. Perhaps we should retire to the bridge while we try and puzzle out how to help our friend here.
Bridge. I like that word. Bridge. Bridge. This one's got red hair.
Zed, where's Ensign Zed?
That's fun. I like it.
I presumed Ensign Zed was with you.
Can you teach me to braid my hair like that? That'd be great. And this one's, look at those little cheeks. And she goes to Lieutenant Paris, like, "You're going to be a captain one day." Yes, you're going to be a captain one day. She seems completely intoxicated all of a sudden.
When she's doing that, some of that energy kind of sinks through so she's like,
So
"Captain, let's go back to the bridge, please."
I pick up the hypo spray I used earlier. Let's try something. And then psh, on cue.
Yeah. Oh. Drugs. What was that?
That was Triox. It's just oxygen. It helps clear the mind.
Whoop. Yip. Bloop. Woof.
That's not supposed to
Yep.
happen.
Lieutenant Paris, Captain. And she, like, rubs her hand on the side of your face like this, like just kind of like she's petting a cat, just like a rub. She goes, "We have to find my station quickly. Very quickly, please. Quickly, now-ish. It's very important. I can't exactly explain why." And in her hand appears a carbonated beverage. She knocks it back and then crushes the can and tosses it to the ground where it does a kind of noise. And she says, "Not to say that I'm trying to rush you, but time is of the essence. Do you have any more of those that you could give me?"
No.
Here.
No.
And 2 of them materialize in her hand. She does a double injection to the bridge. And then she runs through the door.
I gotta admit, when I read Picard's logs, I assumed he was exaggerating for effect, but I'm beginning to think maybe he undertold.
I'm sorry, Captain. She really is like that. If I have to guess, well,
You have
I
extensive experience with this Q, Mr. Paris?
Oh, I just spent the last, I don't know, hour with her. But if I had to guess, she's like that because her power is connected to the station and being drained by our favorite captain. So,
But I'm my favorite captain.
Forgive me, Captain.
you're my favorite captain, but
We shouldn't allow this Q to run around unsupervised on your ship.
From outside the hallway, you hear,
All right, Lieutenant, if you can ensure that the Q makes it to the bridge, you'll have better success with the instruments at the science station there. I give you full leave to use whatever you need. I'm going to head to engineering, see if Krev needs any help.
hi, Captain.
May I continue to join you, Captain?
Certainly.
and as the 3 of you, or Lieutenant Paris, are you going to the bridge as well? Or are you
Oh
staying
yeah,
with
I'm
Switch? Excellent.
I'm trying
Perfect.
to run after Q right
As the
now.
3 of you head off towards the bridge, we pivot over to the sick
We're
bay.
going- We're
Pivot
going to
over
engineering.
to the sick bay. You're heading to engineering. Perfect.
Yep.
I think that's actually a great place for you to head. We pivot over to sick bay, where a Commander Rin, is just arriving. And Commander Rin, the first thing you notice as you arrive in sick bay is that the doctor's office, this kind of main room where the doctor's, office would be, computer and equipment and data pads and whatnot, is empty. But from the left-hand side, the sort of, I guess, the left-hand medical bay, and there's the right-hand medical bay, left-hand medical bay, you hear a male voice, and he's saying, "Okay, lad, just get off the table. I know. I don't exactly know what you're experiencing right now, but I need you to take a breath and get down. I'll get you a sedative." And you hear another voice, "No sedative. No, it burns. It all burns. It's all on fire. Everything's on fire. It's wrong. I see everything. I see it. We gotta stop it. We gotta stop everything. She's here. We gotta end it. And he's just panicking. The voice that's panicking is a younger, more almost childlike voice. The other voice is a more adult voice. But as you step through, you see a green alien. This is Nurse Hagen, trying to calm down a young, what looks to be petty officer with sandy blonde hair, who is standing on one of the medical beds. He has like a metal rod. It looks like one of those, like pieces that you'd put on in like IV onto, like the little like rolling things. He's got it, and he's brandishing it like a spear and screaming about, "We've got to stop it. She's here. We've got to stop it all. Everything, it burns." And he's just freaking out.
And it kind of stops to take this in for a moment. He kind of goes into his best, I guess, commander voice. "Petty officer, what's going on?"
Presence command, difficulty of 3. Let's see how that command voice works, my friend. You do have
Use
4
that
momentum.
Use that momentum.
It's there to be used,
Yeah.
friends. It's there to be used.
You mind if I use 3 of that to roll 4 dice?
Flex
for
that
it.
rank.
Do it.
Flex that rank. Let's go.
That's the focus of Starfleet operations regulations.
Boom. Use that focus. I love that. Absolutely love that focus. That's brilliant. Ooh, complication. Complication. And I think this is actually a great moment for there to be a complication. As you start to give the command, Nurse Hagen steps forward in an attempt to wrangle the young Petty Officer Locke. Petty Officer Locke swings the metal rod that he has, striking Nurse Hagen in the side of the head, knocking him unconscious. He tumbles to the ground, but as you finish your command, the Petty Officer goes rigid for a moment, seeming to kind of straighten up. And he drops the metal rod, gets off the table, the bed as it were, stands up straight, salutes, and says, Commander Rin? Is that you? And it seems like he recognizes you in this moment.
What was the DC on that last one? How many momentum am I picking?
That was a difficulty of 3. You got 2 momentum back. So well done.
Now, do I recognize him?
Absolutely not.
Petty Officer, you recognize me?
Yes, sir. You served with my mother aboard her ship. You were the chief engineer. Don't you recognize me?
I haven't been feeling too well. Something's wrong with my symbiont. Can you remind me of the ship of your mother?
Yes, it was my mother, Captain Eva Cole. You served with her. You served with her in the Dominion War. You were Commander Rin. What's going on?
I'm trying to figure that out myself.
The ship's name was the Shivani Mani. You would recognize that ship as the Prometheus class that you had a bit of a run-in with. You'd recognize that name as a certain red-headed captain that may or may not have infiltrated your vessel, Boudica. But you never served aboard a ship. At least, maybe not this version of you.
I want you to stay here while I try to figure out what's going on.
And as you say that, appearing in the room is none other than the emergency medical hologram. Please state the nature of the medical. What in the hell is going on in my medical bay? And that, my friends, is where we're going to take a quick 5 to 10 minute break. Stick around for part 2 of episode 4, season 2 of Star Trek Valhalla. Again, I want to say thank you to Alex and Commander Mitchell, C4A, for being our guest stars. We'll be back here in about 5 to 10 minutes. Stick around, and we'll see how this adventure ends. All right, friends, we are back. We are back a little bit early, but that's all right. That's all right. We gave the crew, everyone here, a quick moment to stretch their legs and maybe even stretch their minds, as it were. Stretch their minds, because their minds are feeling a little crazy right now. Not just Commander Mitchell, but maybe everyone else. So we're going to pick back up right where we left off, but instead of being on the left-hand side of the medical bay, we are now on the right-hand side. The EMH had sedated Joffrey, not Godfrey, different guy. And Commander Rin, you have moved over to the right-hand medical bay. There is a bed right there. The EMH has asked you to lay down on it, and is beginning to perform some scans. State the nature of what you're experiencing. Is it a feeling? Is it a gut sort of emotion? Is it sensational? Describe it to me.
I'm not able to recall anything of my previous lives. I can't feel my symbiote.
He looks at you, takes a scan. You are Trill, though, aren't you?
I should be dead, yes.
Huh. And he will run the scan again. Fake his tricorder. Run it a fourth time. So it's 1, 2, 3, and a fourth. Commander, this is going to seem like a strange question. Have you been inside of a warp core recently?
I wonder if that's...
Take a look at these readings, and he's going to show you the readings from his medical tricorder. Those readings, you would instantaneously recognize them.
They're what I got inside that white room.
Bingo. And they also match the readings that you read when you were reading the warp engine, when you were reading Jormungandr.
That's how I got here. He's going to take out his tricorder, flip it open, and it'll still have those readings on it to show the EMH. I took this at Chronos Station.
Commander, I realize this may not be professional in regards to being a medical professional, but you should be dead. 100 times over, you should be dead.
I've heard that before.
I don't have a medical diagnosis or prognosis for you at this point. I'll need to run some more tests. And he's going to walk away from you for a moment, leaving you with your thoughts alone as he starts to grab some equipment.
At this point, maybe talking out loud a bit, not expecting the EMH to be listening or responding. The warp core here, from what Lieutenant Commander Karev said, is lonely. It's missing something. Whatever it was that brought me from Chronos Station to here, whatever it is that Ambassador was implying, did I pick up maybe a piece of it or a second entity of the same sort? And if that's...
Go ahead, please, sorry.
And if that's the case, how do I transfer it over? But if I don't have my symbiont, if this is what's keeping me alive currently,
that feeling, that longing sensation, like a child longing for its parent, grows more and more intense. You feel a draw. You feel a pull back towards the engineering, like a beacon. Light the beacons. They've been lit. It is almost uncontrollable, but I'm not going to force you. But you're feeling this pull back towards engineering.
It's not gonna go yet. Still thinking. Maybe that black box.
Ah, yes. The black box. Ah, yes. The cloaking device that shouldn't be there. At the mention of the black box, as you perhaps audibly say it out loud, that draw, that feeling like being embraced by a parent, by your mother, that safe feeling that a parent provides to a child, is replaced with fear. Fear. With loneliness, with terror, with I need to get away from that. I need to find the safety of Mother, but Mother is nowhere to be found.
The bad feeling filtering through. I need to do this first. There's something wrong with those boxes. I don't have anything else right now.
And as the doctor turns around, that conversation you've been having with yourself, Commander Rin, you realize that you've been thinking, almost glassy-eyed. What you didn't realize is that at some point you stood up, at some point you exited medical, and you now find yourself standing just outside of medical. Two feelings. One of them, a fear in the direction of what you can only assume is this quote-unquote black box. And yet, that engineering curiosity that you yourself feel is ever present. The other feeling, the warmth and safety of a parent, a mother's embrace. A draw towards it, but not your own. My question, each of them being equally as strong, which do you choose to follow?
In this moment, probably the draw towards safety.
As you turn away from the direction of the black box, you head back towards engineering. We're going to pick back up in main engineering. We see the captain. We see Commander Mitchell. We see Lieutenant Paris. We see the Q is very curious and kind of skipping around the warp core, asking just a myriad of questions. She is just.
I need to stop you.
Please.
Myself and Q, we went to the bridge.
Oh, you went to the bridge?
Yeah.
Forgive me. All right, well, let me just grab the two of you.
And
You all went to the engineering, but we're going to pick up in engineering anyway. Forgive me. So we see... I would love it if Mitchell was skipping around the engine, but no, she's not. That's fine. No, that's crazy. But we see Commander Rin. You actually see a familiar face as you enter into main engineering. And you actually see Commander Mitchell. You see Karev. You see the captain. You see a number of other personnel. But Rin, you would see Commander Mitchell. You would see Commander Mitchell before she sees you. But Mitchell, you would turn around. You would see Commander Rin. I'd give you to the scene.
I think probably being taken back by seeing Commander Mitchell, and with all the other things still going through his head, kind of stop halfway towards her. Andromeda?
Vidar? How are you? Oh, I'm so glad you're okay.
How did you get here, Commander?
I could ask you the same thing, Commander. I was in a ceremony and you disappeared. Where did you go?
Something
We couldn't find you.
something didn't seem right to me. You went through that portal. That portal's not the same technology as Chrono Station is.
No?
The ambassador was behind me.
What? But he was levitating on a platform. But he wasn't actually levitating. No, we're not doing that again.
Are you okay?
I'm fine, Commander. Fine. Are you fine?
No.
And as the two of them are having this conversation, Lieutenant Commander Krev, you're reading some energy outputs of the warp core. And it appears like every step that Commander Rin took towards the warp core, the power output of the warp core gets stronger. Almost as though it's trying to draw him closer, and as he gets closer, it starts to grow in strength. And that, the best way to describe it is a lonely feeling, grows weaker, replaced with this sense of connection. That's what the readouts tell you. It's strange, because it's all, power fluctuations and this and that, but that's what you're picking up on right now. You're picking up on that.
As that happens, he's going to pull out his tricorder and start taking readings on Ren.
You know those readings I just described to him in medical?
Mm-hmm.
Wabamo. You've got those now too.
And I think Rin, even noticing this out of the corner of his eye, is going to take his own tricorder, toss it over to Karev, same readings on it.
He flips yours closed and hands it back, or tosses it back. I think your symbiote is a warp core dragon. Is that
What?
can't be right? Why, Cap? What is it about your ship that makes me say things like that?
I thought, oh, now it's my ship.
Yeah, it's your ship. It's my warp core. It's your ship.
There's an unspoken rule with engineers. It's our ship until something strange goes, then it's the captain's ship.
All right, other commander who I haven't met yet. Somebody, anybody, explain to me what's going on.
Chrono Station.
Go ahead.
We were at Chrono Station. There was...
But not where we were at Chrono Station.
God
I don't-
forbid.
I don't know where you were at Chrono Station.
No, that was Krev's. That was for Krev's benefit, Mister.
Oh, forgive me. This is my co-worker, Commander Vidar Rin. He's our chief engineer on the Boudica.
Mr. Rin, welcome aboard the Ragnar. It seems we've got your entire command crew here. Oh, save the captain, obviously.
Wait, do you guys have more commanders?
If I say yes, will you believe me?
I mean, it's
In a
not the weirdest thing that's happening even like in the last minute and a half.
You said warp core dragon.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, isn't it?
And at the mention
I named
of
him
warp core
Jormungandr.
dragon, and at the mention of Jormungandr, the engine, the warp core, starts to shake. Very similar to the way I've described it, like a semi-truck, a 16-wheeler going by. But it doesn't stop. It seems not agitated, but impatient. It starts to shake, and it starts to shake, and it starts to shake. Commander Rin, that pull that you felt, that draw towards safety, feels like it's right up next to the warp core.
I think without realizing it, Rin is backing towards the warp core as he's talking.
I love it. And I think at this point, maybe you've skirted past Commander Mitchell. And Commander Mitchell, you remember that question I asked you last episode on Mell? That request, that leap of faith?
Oh.
Yeah. You find yourself following Commander Rin.
Okay.
Commander Rin, you get up right next to the edge of the warp core. And as the two of you look over the edge, you see that the energy of the warp core, this kind of swirling purple, black, and white energy, seems to be seeping out at the base of the warp core. And as you look down, the only way I can describe this is it looks like a nest. And in this moment, Commander Mitchell, you have a urge to push Commander Rin.
Computer initiate emergency isolation of the warp core with
But I'm
authorization.
not going to force you to do it. The captain begins to speak these command words. There is a split second where you have a decision to make, Commander Mitchell. Commander Rin is hands on the edge, looking down. Go ahead. Commander Rin.
Rin had actually been backing up towards it the entire time, keeping himself foot facing the other officers.
I love that, actually. I love that. So you're facing the other way, but his hands, like I imagine your hands are like on the railing, and he is not facing it. I love this. This is better. He's not facing it. He's looking back towards the others. But you're standing just next to him. And you know that with a simple right arm, you could shove him over the edge.
I don't know if Mitchell has enough context for this.
It's just a feeling. It's a feeling of faith. A feeling of a leap of faith.
To a light she doesn't subscribe to.
What does she do? Pimple's over there. Do it.
Distracted by all the
Now
stuff.
we're gonna have out of game. We're gonna have more than just a split second, but you have
Thank
a
you,
split
'cause I'm like-
second. You have a split second to make a decision because the captain is about to enact a force field.
And I can't read anything off of him right now.
The captain?
No.
Oh
Rin.
no! All you have is this feeling like you, for the first time in your life, can make your own choice. There's
Second
no
time
one
in my
guiding
life.
you. Second time in your life. There's no one guiding you. There's no one
Oh, God.
forcing you. It is just you.
Y'all, with the messages.
Commander Rin,
God.
you're in the middle of explaining what you saw, these feelings, the readings. Krev, you're seeing that it all matches. Go ahead, Commander Rin.
Yeah, mentioning that, I believe that whatever is inside this warp core behind me has taken the place of my symbiont in whatever transfer took me here.
So it's one thing to yeet myself down a shaft, but
No.
to yeet another officer into a warp core.
What do you do, Commander Mitchell?
Oh my God.
Well, we know she's not herself right now.
That's true.
It would be funny to see him fly.
I've got a dragon inside me. Maybe I have wings.
Clap your hands if you believe.
Axel
Oh my
says do it for the
God.
memes.
God, she'll court-martial herself if he dies. All right. Well, do you believe you can fly, Commander? Do you believe you can touch the sky?
Do you think about it every night and day?
I'll spread my wings and yeet him over the edge. Do you
And
yeet him?
with that, it's like there's like a part of her like watching herself do it, and it's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? But that rational part just doesn't have a say right now.
As the captain
and she'll just
gives the order to enact the force field, we watch as Commander Mitchell shoves Commander Rin over the edge. He sprawls, arms flailing down into the purple, blue, and white mist. There is a poof kind of cloud as he is consumed by it. Simultaneously, the shield enacts. Commander Mitchell, you get the shock as you pull back, realizing what you've just done.
Oh my god.
But with that, we're going to pivot over to our final scene, which is back on the bridge of the Ragnar. Back on the bridge of the Ragnar, where Lieutenant Paris, and our resident Q, Lieutenant Paris and our resident Q have arrived, and the Q is very curiously looking around all of the bridge. She's asking questions. Oh, this is a bridge. This is amazing. Is this the captain's chair? She walks over. She looks at Minnie. Minnie says, "Who the hell are you?" Sees the captain pips. Says, "Oh, I'm sorry, Captain." Steps away. We've got a lot of guests on the bridge. I assume you're taking over. She sits down in the captain's chair. It's a whole crazy thing that's going on.
Everyone, drunk Q, everyone. No, Minnie, if Captain left you in charge, you're in charge.
Yes, Lieutenant. Thank you, Lieutenant. The Q has her feet, like, over the armrest and is, like, lounging. And she's materialized a martini in her hand.
God damn it.
But as all of this is going on, we watch as all of the systems aboard the Ragnar, which have been kind of half working, half not working, start to boot up. Full power to the engines, shields, weapons, everything starts to boot back to full power.
See, Craig fix the ship.
And as this happens, you watch as a kind of vision, this kind of like superimposed kind of cloud of energy, this purple and white and blue energy forms. And you watch as it looks like the head of a dragon, as though you were inside of it, starts to appear at the bow of the ship. You start to get readings. Minnie returns to her science station and says, "Sir, this is going to sound strange, but there's like a cloud of, or a nebula. It's forming around us, and it looks like it has wings."
Oh, wait. Check the warp core. Is it still running?
Sir, it is. It's running at 200% capacity.
Oh.
And with that, our final moment, there is a massive, powerful roar that fills the entire ship, like a dragon taking flight, opening its mouth wide and roaring to the heavens. And we watch as the Ragnar blips out of existence and reappears somewhere else, which you'll find out on Sunday. Great session, everybody. All right. First and foremost, I want to say thank you to Commander Rin and Commander Mitchell for being guest stars on today's episode. I think you all did absolutely fantastic. Commander Rin, I hope you have a backup character. LOL JK. Just kidding. You'll be fine. Maybe. I don't know. We'll find out. But thank you, everyone, for playing along. I had an absolute delightful time here. You guys are delightfully funny. And I just wanted to say thank you. But as I always say at the end of every session, any final thoughts, questions, comments, or concerns before we wrap up today's episode?
Y'all really do have too many commanders.
Well, we may have just gotten rid of one, so.
Well, technically two now, so, you know.
Absolutely delightful. Absolutely delightful. But as I always say at the end of every session, thank you so much to the players for playing. Thank you to the viewers for viewing. Happy gaming, everybody. We will catch you next week for episode 5 of Star Trek Valhalla. But you can also pick up the second part to this crossover this upcoming Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern on Star Trek Mell, where we'll find out if the events on Chronos Station will coincide with the events that happened aboard the Ragnar. But great job, everybody. Good night, and again, happy gaming.